I'm Sarah. I'm a Junior Technology Solutions degree apprentice. I work for a HR company, and in my spare time I develop apps to help people improve their mental health. I've suffered with depression and anxiety in the past, and this stemmed from my time at university where I just felt like I wasn't being myself. These days I'm in a much better place. I talk to people more about how I'm feeling, and I also exercise daily. So today I'm on my way to meet Chris, who works with technology within the NHS, and we're going to talk about mental health and technology.
I work in a GP surgery in Morecambe Bay, and my job effectively, aside from fixing printers and other software, is to work on templates to help GPs code data better and to help connect different services within the NHS. It means that patients can transfer from different services and the clinicians get a more rounded picture of what care would be best for that patient. The big dream is that long term, the whole of the NHS is connected. I have a condition called Asperger's syndrome, that's a high functioning, mild form of autism. And that can mean that the world is a bit confusing at times and overwhelming. We live in a very digital age, and social media is a huge part of that, as well as apps on mobile phones is another huge area that's used every day. And I think we'd like to discuss the impact that using those apps and using social media has on mental health.
I hope to gain another perspective on mental health and technology and what he might have been through. We also want to talk about apps that might be developed and how that may help people in the future with their mental health. Hi Chris, nice to meet you.
Oh, lovely to meet you too.
Thank you. Can I start by asking you, what's your experience with mental health?
It's an ongoing journey, mental health. And in the past I have had a couple of periods of depression. The worst time was actually the first 6 weeks that I had at university were a bit tough. I made the decision to go straight into halls. When socialising is tough and things can be overwhelming, and I don't drink either, freshers is a bit of a nightmare. Without realising it, I was kind of isolating myself because everyone else was going out partying and drinking and stuff, and all the society seemed to revolve around that.
Yeah.
I didn't quite realise how bad it was until about 6 weeks in. I went back home to spend a weekend with my parents.
Yeah.
And I remember there was a moment where it was the day before I had to go back to uni, and that night I was there and I was kind of like, if I go to uni and there's, say, a bus passes by, I'd rather, it's pretty bad, it's pretty bad, but I'd rather step out in front of it because the feeling of that would actually be better than the feeling I would have if I went back into halls. So at that point I told my parents, so glad I told my parents.
Definitely.
Because if you don't tell someone in that situation, you know, something terrible could have happened.
Definitely.
They rallied round me and they helped support me change the stuff that I could change.
Yeah.
Because in those situations, you can't change everything.
No.
But there may be things that you can change there and then that might help bring you out of the depression that you're in. So at that point, I made the decision to move back home and commute in from home.
Okay, yeah.
And over the course of the first year, I gradually started to get better.
Yeah.
Commuting from home, it was less stressful. Going to uni was less stressful.
Yeah, definitely.
And I could make friends at my own pace. I wasn't like thrust into it. And then the other 2 years have been okay. And right here, right now, I feel pretty content with things.
Space.
I'm in a good space at the moment.
Good. No, that's good.
How about yourself? What are your experiences?
Yeah, no, it's funny that you mentioned uni. So I actually went through depression during uni during uni as well. Yes. So I moved away from Birmingham to Leeds. So that's a few hundred miles away from home. I was like, okay, I'll be fine. I love being away from home. I love to explore. Like, this is going to be the best experience ever. Moved into halls like yourself. It's like the worst thing ever. Because I like things clean and tidy. I would say I have OCD. Like, I like things how it is. I moved in with the messiest people ever. The kitchen was really dirty. I was like, it was shocking to me more than anything. Like, I'd isolate myself to my room and like make my food in my room just so I didn't have to be around these people. But then I'd go home like every semester. My mom's like, you've lost so much weight, what's wrong with you? I'd be really snappy, like I wouldn't want to speak. I was like, just leave me alone, like isolate myself from my family as well. And then it became the point where it's like, okay, everyone else is drinking, like let me just use that as like a something to numb what I was feeling. So like it got pretty intense. Like you'd use alcohol to like, let's just drink so you forget about what's happening kind of thing. Like you numb the pain that you're kind of feeling. So that became a thing. And then year and a half, second year, I think it was first semester, I was like, okay, this is out of control. Like I can't keep going on like this. Yeah. So went to the GP, I was like, this is how I'm feeling. Spoke to my mom, she's actually trained in therapy as well, she's a nurse. And she was just like, why didn't you tell me? But coming from an African household, it's just like, it's not something that we talk about, mental health. It's just like, it's like a taboo subject, but it wasn't. That's just how I thought it was. My mom was like, no, it's okay. You can talk to us about it, it's fine. Like, I'm glad that you're coming to us now. We need to get you better. So I left university. I was like, okay, this isn't for me. I love my course. I was like, okay, what can I do? And that's when I was like, okay, let me start looking at apprenticeships. So that's basically how I ended up in the job that I'm doing now. Obviously, it's a journey and like things still creep up every now and then, but it's just keeping that consistency. It's making sure that you're grounded and stay good, I guess. Yeah.
So with your work, with what you do with developing apps in mental health, tell me more about that. I'm fascinated.
So it's something that I work on the side, and I'm just trying to get a team of people together that have the same passion that I have to like try to develop apps for people to use to enable their mental health or like educate people on mental health. Like, and my main thing is like to try get something there for the Black community. It's not something that's talked about. It's a taboo subject, as I mentioned earlier. Like if we had some sort of technology there where people could, like, I don't know, press a button and like you have like a counsellor or like a buddy could go to a workshop or something like that. It's like getting that network of people together so I could then put that into an app or like a service even kind of thing.
I mean, that sounds great. It's great because you're like creating you want to create a kind of safe space for it to be
definitely.
not seen as a taboo.
Yeah, definitely. And especially with social media, like the presence of mental health in social media, like that's an interesting subject for me. What do you think about mental health and social media, like the impact?
I think if you're stuck just on Facebook or just on Twitter, you get a warped perception of reality.
Definitely.
That can be at the detriment of your mental health.
Definitely.
Because I think if you start doing stuff like looking at your peers and comparing your life to them through what you see, what they've posted isn't everything in their life.
Yeah.
It's the best bits. It's like you might get the feeling that you're not quite good enough.
I can personally really see the impact that it's having on my peers in general. It's like everyone's like, oh, I need my eyebrows to look like this, I need to look this kind of way. If I don't look like this, I'm failing at my life kind of thing. I think in general now, what's going on, it's not healthy, and I think there needs to be a change of some sort.
You think it's gone too far?
Way too far. Okay. I think if things keep going in this direction, I don't think it's going to be good for those people coming up, and you see it a lot. Social anxiety is
that's a big one. Yeah,
that's a big one, and depression as well.
It's horrible because if you abuse someone online, that's stuck there. And if just one person does it, and you get one or two people liking stuff, it kind of has a snowball effect. There's like attraction.
Viral effect, yeah.
So you kind of, the person who that abuse is directed at, suddenly there's like, they think the whole world's against them when it might only be a couple of people, but to them, because it's like it's got a few likes, it's appeared at the top of their news feed or whatever, it's like, oh my, and it's terrible.
Yeah, it's
and how
sad.
to combat that must be a really difficult thing for Instagram, Facebook and Twitter to do. I don't know how you do it.
There's a lot of work that needs to be done. Like, everyone's trying, and I think this is the thing with technology. It goes so fast, like it's really hard to keep up with it. I think as a society and people in general need to be more self-aware of what they're posting and like the effect it might have. And companies monitoring things, like there's only so much that they can do. As much as we want to look for the solution and like write a piece of code to try to stop something and censor things, it honestly comes down to like globally as a society, how we interact with people and and like how we treat each other. Absolutely. More than anything. So censoring and just self-awareness and what you reshare, what you report, and just being the ambassador of change kind of thing. It's like the more people that are willing to try change, the bigger impact it will have, and then you overcome the negativity kind of thing. It's just like pushing it down further. I'm currently working with a network called eNurture Network, who are aiming to fund projects to research mental health and technology and the impact that it has. It's a very new subject, so I think a lot of people are now coming to research it and have those papers put out there, so there is something to go by for medical professionals. It's getting there, there's a few papers out there, but there could always be more, and that's like part of my role on the network as the youth lead, is to make sure that young people are heard and that this research can take place, because I think it needs to happen.
Oh yeah.
There's just not enough information,
100%.
Not enough information out there for even parents, parents to go by and have a look at. So you'll work with data with the NHS. How do you think that this can help people with mental health problems?
I think what it can do is it can highlight just how widespread conditions within mental health are. Mm-hmm. When the reports are developed and printed off at the end, they can see, oh, flipping it, we've got a lot more people who are getting anxious, we've got a lot more people who are depressed. Maybe we need to get something, a session together, a CBT session. Maybe we need to get a social group going, especially for elderly. With data, it's all about how it's interpreted and whether patterns can be picked up. And if those patterns are used to flag up areas that need more investment or new groups that need setting up, then that's where the data becomes worthwhile.
So I think if that data was in place, then it could be used in a whole heap of different ways for apps, like booking a chat with someone, social situations. I think the possibilities are endless, really. Yeah, data is most definitely the future.
If someone was like unsure about something or feeling a little low, and yet using that app helped them improve just a little bit, or gave them like the first step to helping themselves improve, I bet that would be like a massive win.
It's a big idea.
It is. But why not aim that high?
Aim high, yeah. Childlike mentality. Nothing's impossible. So yeah, that's the main goal for me, I think, is just create something that makes a change for everyone in a positive way.
Oh wow, that's brilliant. Yeah. Well, Sarah, it's been lovely talking to you. I think we should try and wrap this up now. So all the best and good luck with all your apps and everything.
Thank you. All the best trying to connect the whole of the NHS.
Come on. I'll do my best.